could not believe my math equation that I messed up that forward. That I was like, oh. They want to make myself like a formula.
The more mistakes you make, the better you get. Yes. Gooder. The gooder you get. All right, guys. So what we're gonna be doing is the energy crisis. Now the energy crisis comes right after our walk around. So we get down to the bottom. We show them all the products that we're recommending. We show them how much the retail replacement cost will be. And then when we get down to the bottom, Bob and Mary, you can do some of this, you can do none of this, you can do all of this. It's up to you, but the federal government is paying for this stuff because we are in a little bit of an energy crisis. And just a little bit of the facts about it is, in the past, with only 5% of the world's population, Americans consume over 26% of the world's energy. Now, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. There's only 350 million Americans, but we're using 2 billion people's worth of energy. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but we're the most gluttonous people on planet Earth, and we're proud of it by far. All right, but the rest of the world's getting fed up if they're not already. Now, in the past, that was okay, because in the past, oil would net 20 units of energy for every 1 unit spent to find, extract, or refine it. Today, oil only nets 1 unit of energy for every 1 unit spent to find, extract, and refine it. Now, if I take that word units, okay, and I flip that out into dollars and cents, okay, I used to invest $1 and I used to get 20 bucks back out of oil, which is pretty good, right? Now, today I'm investing $1 and I'm getting 8 bucks back, which is pretty good, all right? It's not bad, but it's a lot less. Now, in the very near future, oil will only net 1 unit of energy for every 1 unit spent, 1 unit of energy spent to recover it. Now, would you guys take $1 out of your pocket and invest it just to expect that $1 back? Not a chance, right? And now a lot of people, if you guys remember like 5 or 6 years ago, in the past, a lot of people said we were energy independent when we had like low gas prices, low electric bills. It just really wasn't just true. Like the story behind it is we have a 100-year supply of shale oil out in the Midwest, and you can natural gas frack it. We were getting it out of the ground, but you have to take giant water guns and blast it into the ground to get the gas to escape. And they do it under North Dakota, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, South Dakota. They got it out of the ground. But the problem is, the second problem is it's not profitable. For every $1.10 you put into getting shale oil out of the ground, you only get $1 back. So you lose 10 cents on every dollar. So what we did as a country is we took these massive tax subsidies and we gave them to these oil producing companies out in the Midwest, and we told them to flood the market with supply, driving the price per barrel down to $33 a barrel. Now, on January 21st, 2021, those tax subsidies got signed out of law because you're blasting giant water guns into the ground, escaping gases out. It's not very good for the environment. And number 2, you're losing 10 cents on every dollar. Immediately, our price per barrel went from $33 a barrel up to $110 a barrel overnight. The problem is that when we stop supply, okay, we have to buy it from somewhere else, which is OPEC, okay? And we come into our oil crisis. Now, Dr. M. King Hubbard, this guy with this crazy hair up here, he came up with the point at which half of the world's available fossil fuels have been consumed. Dr. Hubbard projected oil would peak worldwide in 2010. The US peaked in 1970, and Americans soon found themselves held hostage by an OPEC-led oil embargo. Now, let me ask you this, Bob, let me ask you this, Mary. Do you guys remember those gas lines back in the 1970s, like 1979 and 78? You had to go on different days of the week based off your license plate. Well, the reason why is we had a ton of crude oil under Texas, but we figured out it's not a limitless supply. We'll run out eventually, right? So what we did is we were smart. We capped our oil and we started throwing our weight around the Middle East and kind of pitting them against each other. What will you give me for this? What will you give me for that? Driving the price of oil down so we can keep our reserves. Well, the problem is that they got smart too. They all fixed the price, colluded, all right, and created OPEC, which is the oil producing exporting countries. Now, when they created OPEC, all right, now you have to go on different days of the week based off your license plate. They had 85 oil producing exporting countries. Okay, today there's only 11, all right? And subsequently, the number of oil producing nations will dwindle from 11 to 10 to 9 to et cetera, until only one exporter of oil worldwide remains. Now, the last 3 that are supposed to have oil are Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. And I don't think there's much more to be said about them having all the oil and us being dependent on it, right? Now, if you go anywhere else in the world, Okay, if you go over to Europe, Germany, they pay $8 a gallon. Okay, if you go to England, they're at $11 a gallon. China, Japan, $12, $14 a gallon. We pull up to the pump, we pay $3.50. It goes up 30 cents. We're MF and Biden. We got the "you did that" stickers on the gas pumps, all right? But everybody else pays 3 times as much as we do. So if it all comes from 11 oil producing exporting places, okay, if it all comes from the same place, and there's really only 4 major refineries in the world, okay, I think the one in Indiana just blew up, so now there's only 3, okay, and then you have Wawa and BP and Shell, Mobil. They put their additives in it, slap a sticker on it, ship it off, but it all comes from the same place. So why do we pay so much less? Well, the reason why is because we've taken the stance for the last 50 years that we'll go over to the Middle East and we'll kick their butts and take their stuff. Okay, we've been at war with the Middle East for 50 years now. The problem with that is that the last 3 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan cost this country $15 trillion. Okay, that's a lot of money. And did we get anything out of those wars? No, we lost a bunch of kids' lives. We put ourselves in a national deficit. It's never been seen before in history at $34 trillion and counting. Okay? And the reason why the federal government is giving you money back in your taxes is because it's cheaper than going to war. Okay? We have $34 trillion and counting. We can't go back to war. We can't produce shale oil. It's cheaper than going to war. Now, the United States has consumed 75% of recoverable oil that exists in the U.S. Okay, our growing demand for energy is fed by foreign oil. The U.S. currently imports over 10 million barrels of oil each day. In exchange, we export billions of dollars overseas. Okay, we're at 87% fossil fuels, guys. If we could just reduce our national electric bill by 30%, we wouldn't need a drop of foreign oil for 150 years. And essentially what we're doing is we're sending billions of dollars over to the Middle East. They're sending billions of barrels of oil back over here. The only difference is that they're buying bombs and bullets to protect their oil from us, and we're using cars and SUVs to use it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, our environment suffered dramatically from our extensive use of fossil fuels. The evidence of this damage is everywhere. There's not a day that you can go outside without seeing how we've destroyed our environment from fossil fuels. You know, BP oil spills right down the street. You see the smog over LA and California. It's just, we're supposed to leave this place a better place than we found it, and future generations are counting on us to act responsibly with the earth they will inherit tomorrow. I mean, what are we gonna say to them? Now, the first country as a whole to really invest in renewable energy or energy saving products is Israel. Now, Israel passed a law to require every home to switch to a solar hot water heating and began gaining energy independence. Israel realized in the 1960s that they'd limited natural resources. If they started buying oil from the Arab nations like everyone else, they would be giving money to their enemies. Giving money to their enemies? Don't read this shit. Bob and Mary. All right, Israel went solar in 1961. They're the first country to invest in renewable energy. And the reason why is because they have all those oil countries around them with oil, okay? But they wouldn't sell them oil at any price because of the Jews. They didn't like them, all right? So what did the Jews do? They did the smart thing, okay? They reduced their national electric bill by requiring a solar domestic hot water heating system in every home. If we could do that in this country, we wouldn't need a drop of that foreign oil for 150 years. Now, after that was Hawaii. All right, Hawaii passed a law in 2010. Any home being built, bought, or sold has to have a solar or a hybrid hot water heating system. Now, the reason why they did it first in America is because they feel the energy crisis first. Everything comes over on a ship or a plane, everything's more expensive. Now, after that was California in 2012. They passed a law, you have to have solar on your house in California, and it's so bad there now that if you have a space on your roof, California has to rent the space from you to put solar panels on it, and then they actually sign a contract to buy the power from you, okay, because they're rolling blackouts. Now, after that, Parkland, Florida, right down the street, passed a law, you have to have some type of solar energy saving package on your home, if it's being built, bought, or sold. Miami, okay, you have to have a certain size solar panel on your home if you're building in Miami now. But what's the difference, or what's the similarity between those 3 states? You have Hawaii, California, and Florida. It's that big yellow thing up there, right? It's that big yellow thing, that sun, it's hot. Okay, and if Hawaii passed laws and California passed laws, All right, and Parkland, Florida, and Miami passed laws. What do we expect the rest of Florida is going to end up doing? They're going to follow suit, right? Now, when they follow suit and they pass laws that you have to have solar attic ventilation, you have to have radiant barrier, you have to have a hybrid hot water heating system like Israel or like Hawaii. All right, do you expect the prices of those products to go up or the price to go down? They're going to go up, right? So when does it make sense to install energy-saving products? When the government's going to give you 30% and demand's down, or when demand's up and the government's not giving you anything, right? Right now. Okay, now the next couple of charts that I'm going to show you guys here are from the Florida State Energy Office and the U.S. Department of Energy. Now what this is a rocket chart. The Florida State Energy Office, they want to figure out what our increases are in the past 5 years. Okay, so if you look here, this 2020, we went up 11%. Before 2020, we only went up 4.5% with inflation. Now 2021, we went up 17% overall in the state. 2022, 25%. This was the highest increase since 1999 when Afghanistan invaded Kuwait. Okay. After that, 2023, 30%. This is the highest increase in history. Now this year, you've already gone up 16.5% in April. Your fuel charge is going to go up again. What do you think is going to go up this year? I mean, 35, 40%? I would agree with you guys, all right? Now this chart right here is a matrix chart, and this is the U.S. Department of Energy. A lot of people want to know what are they going to spend on their electric bill in 5, 6, 10 years from now, right? With these increases. So if you look here, you have 2024 to 2033, and you have a average monthly electric bill. You guys is $200 up here with a 15% annual increase. Now that's super conservative, seeing we haven't been less than 15% 4 years, right? So if I take your $200 electric bill this year, you're going to spend $2,400. That's a lot of money on electric. 15% comes next year, you're going to be at $2,760. 15%, you're going to be at $3,174. 15%, you're going to be at $3,650, and 15% in 4 years, you're going to be over $4,000 for your electric bill. That's a lot of money. And if you fast forward 10 years, you'll spend $48,000 on your electric bill over the next 10 years with a 15% annual increase. Okay? Now, if you could save 30% of that, that's $14,000 extra that you would have. And if you knew what you know now, 10 years ago, that you didn't have to give that 14 grand to the power company, that you could have invested it in your house through energy saving products, would you have done it? Of course you would have. Of course you would have. There's a lot better ways to spend that money than give it to the power company. I mean, if you guys had 14 grand extra right now, what would you do with it? Would you buy like maybe a new bug, Beetle bug? All right, maybe a new Mustang, right? There's a lot better ways to spend your money than hand it to the power company and never get it back. Now, a lot of people want to know, they see the bills going up, obviously on their bank account, but they don't know where it's going to. Where's my electric bill actually going to? What's using all this electricity? And the Florida State Energy Office has this chart. On average, 50% of homes in Florida, 50% of an electric bill in Florida will be made up by your AC and your heating. Now, 25% is your hot water heating. You have 12% to appliances, you have 8% to electronics, you have 5% to lighting, and then you have 50% and 25% for your hot water heating system. Now, if you guys were gonna pick one of these first to fix, which would you pick? AC and the heating, right? That big 50%. Now, let me ask you this, what would you pick second? Can you see how that's 75% of your guys' average monthly electric bill? Okay, and you guys have a 10-year-old hot water heating system that hasn't been drained, and you guys have 4 inches worth of original insulation with no ventilation up in the attic. All right, those are the problems. Let's talk about the solutions. All right, that's it.
Yeah.